Hey everyone, welcome to Unit 3 of the EduHaven course on AP Biology. If you're ready to succeed, let's go. Cells are the smallest component of life, and as you'll get to learn, cells arise from other cells. Cells are really small because a smaller cell increases the surface area to volume ratio. In essence, the surface area to volume ratio allows the cell to increase efficiency. Some examples of increasing efficiency is acquiring or releasing heat because it's a smaller cell and it's able to release it much faster. Similarly, cells are able to dissipate or accept material across the cell membrane much faster because it's a smaller cell and it doesn't have to travel as much. Lastly, the enzymes at the surface of the cell are able to receive their substrates much faster, increasing the efficiency of these reactions. Additionally, as the cell size increases, more internal organelles have to be present, which means more resources are used. Now, you may be asking, if making a cell smaller increases the efficiency, why not just make a cell even smaller than it actually is? Well, I'm glad you asked. Cells have to be a certain size because they have to still fit stuff inside of it, and also they have to be big enough to actually receive and exchange materials. Cells can also increase the surface area to volume ratio by changing their shape. For example, root hair cells, or the cells on roots, are cylindrical. This increases the efficiency of taking up water and nutrients for the plant. Another example, which is seen in mitochondria and chloroplasts, is a cell having many folds. Additionally, there are two types of cells, eukaryotic and prokaryotic. Prokaryotic cells are simple and don't have an internal membrane or a nucleus. Eukaryotic cells are more complex and compartmentalized. This means that it has internal membranes like the nucleus to sequester function. Sequester function means that these inner membranes allow for functions to not interact and not interfere with each other, increasing overall efficiency of the cell. There are a bunch of subcellular components. As you've heard before, the nucleus is one of them, but only present in eukaryotic cells. The nucleus is very easy to spot because it's the dark circle in the middle. The nucleus is very important in cells because it stores DNA, the information molecule. Next, we have ribosomes. Ribosomes are made up of mRNA and protein and are used to construct proteins during protein synthesis. However, this information will be learned about much later down in the course. What's interesting about ribosomes is that they're found in all cells. Since they're found in all cells, they trace back to a common ancestor and are highly conserved. Highly conserved is a very important phrase for biology, specifically evolution. It means it has changed very little or absolutely not at all throughout history, or more specifically, through evolution. Another organelle or subcellular component found in all cells is the ER, or the endoplasmic reticulum. There are two types of endoplasmic reticulum, smooth and rough. The rough ER looks rough because it has ribosomes all over its surface, which means it's the location where protein synthesis occurs. The smooth ER does not have ribosomes and is the location for lipid synthesis and detoxification. ER is also used as intracellular transport because parts of it can butt off to form a vesicle or a membrane sac. These vesicles can contain proteins or other materials for transport. Next, we have lysosomes. Lysosomes are membrane sacs which contain digestive enzymes. These enzymes allow the cell to digest material, like waste. Along with digesting materials for recycling organic matter, lysosomes can be used for apoptosis. Apoptosis is when the cell lyses itself to kill itself off. This can be useful if the cell is infected or there are too many cells in an area, so you need to cut down on the cells you don't need. Next is the most famous organelle, the mitochondria. You've probably heard that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. This is because the mitochondria is where energy is created. Now, for all you physics people, you know that energy can't be created. And it's not. It's really just the release of energy by a process called cell respiration, which we'll be going much deeper into later on. The structure of the mitochondria is pretty simple because it's a double membrane, a membrane on the outside and a membrane on the inside. The outside membrane is very smooth, but the membrane on the inside has many folds, which are called cristae. These cristae are useful because they give more surface area for metabolic processes. The next organelle is the Golgi body. The Golgi body is a membrane-bound organelle. The Golgi is like UPS because it packages and ships things around the cell. Next, let's talk about vacuoles. Vacuoles are membrane-bound sacs. In animals like us, we have multiple smaller vacuoles in our cells. However, plants have one large central vacuole, which is used to store water and keep turgor pressure. Turgor pressure is a pressure exerted by the vacuole when it's filled with water so that the plant stays rigid. The last type of vacuole is a contractile vacuole, which is found in freshwater protists. Since these organisms are in freshwater, the fresh water diffuses or moves into their cells. However, this is harmful because if too much water enters the organism, it will burst. In order to combat this, a contractile vacuole contracts and releases all the water out of the organism. The penultimate organelle is the cytoskeleton. The cytoskeleton isn't a singular organelle, but proteins. The cytoskeleton has four purposes: to give the cell shape, to give the cell structure, to anchor organelles, and to give structure from cell movement. The last organelle is chloroplasts, which are only found in plants and photosynthetic algae. Chloroplasts also have a double membrane like mitochondria. They are the location of photosynthesis or building sugars in plant cells. Now, to remember all this information using good old active recall, you can check the description for a chart. Also, there will be a link to an activity called Cell City, which is a popular comparison that cells make. Now, if you want to continue learning with the EduHaven course on AP Biology, click right here. If you want to check out another EduHaven course, click right here. Thank you, and I hope you succeed.